Hey everybody, this is Chen, health coach. And this week, instead of my usual article, I have something special in store for you. But first, let me ask you this. Have you ever felt overwhelmed, stressed, guilty, or frustrated at the way that you spend your time? You feel that you can be achieving so much more and have more time to yourself, and yet time management has been a struggle for you. If so, I've been reading The Three Secrets to Effective Time Investment, and I highly, highly recommend this book because it really dives into the deep psychology of what holds us back from achieving our true potential. And it also offers us simple yet effective techniques to achieving more with way less stress, which, as you know, is my kind of style. And so you may be wondering, well, what are the three secrets to effective time investment? And I talked to the author, Miss Elizabeth Grace Saunders herself, to find out.
Hello, everyone. This is Chen, health coach, and today I'm delighted to be featuring Miss Elizabeth Grace Saunders on our call today. Elizabeth is CEO and founder of Real Life E, a time coaching company that empowers individuals who feel overwhelmed and frustrated to feeling peaceful, confident, and accomplished. Elizabeth is an internationally recognized time coach and has spoken to thousands of individuals on time management. She has shared the stage with Steve Forbes and has also appeared in Inc. magazine, Forbes, and NBC. She is also the author of The Three Secrets to
Yay!
Effective Time Investment. So welcome, Elizabeth.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here, and I get so excited whenever I see my book. So, yay! I've
Yeah,
got my
and
copy here too on my desk.
awesome. Awesome. So today we're going to dive into this awesome book that Elizabeth wrote because I feel that it is addressing the key root causes for overwhelm, guilt, and frustration when it comes to effective time management. So we're really lucky to have Elizabeth tell us her secrets today. And Elizabeth, to start off, can you tell us what inspired you to write Three Secrets?
Absolutely. So, I have a huge passion for effective time investment, meaning not just trying to fit more things in a day, but actually to feel accomplished and to feel peaceful and to feel confident. And so that led to my own journey of wanting to be more balanced, led me to doing time coaching and training. And as I was talking to all these people, working with people one on one, or sometimes groups of people if I was brought into a company, I really wanted a way to share these concepts with more people because there's obviously only so much of me to go around. And a book was a great way to get this out to people who may or may not be able to work with me in person.
That makes sense. I'm loving it. And so let's dig into some secrets then. So I speak to a lot of high achievers, and a lot of them tell me, I feel so overwhelmed and I have like a main project, but I also have a side thing, and I just want to make sure I do fewer things well. Or someone else will tell me, I feel like I'm constantly choosing between taking care of myself or taking care of my family or the other people in my life. Like how would you recommend like really focusing to get those tasks done while still taking care of yourself and all the people in your life?
Absolutely. Well, my first secret is to clarify action-based priorities. So one of the first things that people need to do is to gain clarity around exactly what it is that they want to achieve. So when they say, okay, I have this main project I'm working on, then I have this side project, or I have family and friends in my life that I want to spend time with. So often people struggle with guilt or confusion or frustration, and it's not even that they're doing anything wrong, it's that they haven't clearly defined what success is. So in that kind of situation, what you need to do is figure out, okay, so my main project, what specific actions do I need to be taking in order to be staying on top of it? Does that look like spending a certain amount of hours each week on it? Does it look like accomplishing certain tasks or reaching certain milestones each week? And once you've clearly defined that, then you can have a sense of what's enough. The same is true in our personal life. So let's say you're like, oh, I need more time for my family or my friends. It's good to get clear about what that actually means. Like, do you mean I want to be able to have family dinner every night, and that's actually what you need to make a priority? It's not that you actually need to spend hours and hours more with your family. Do you mean that, I need to call my one of my friends at least once a week? Do you mean I need a date night with my husband or my boyfriend or girlfriend or whomever makes sense at that point? So you need to clarify what are those actions. And then if you're doing those consistently, you don't need to feel guilty because you are staying aligned with what's important to you.
Yeah, I'm loving this. This is a great tip. It's actually really getting specific as to what more time means to you.
Exactly.
Not just saying, I just want more time, but like more time doing what, right? How do you want to spend that time?
Exactly. Or sometimes people have more time and they don't spend it in the way they had hoped, and then they feel more frustrated. So you want to make sure that you're actually doing the things that matter to you.
I love it. And you had mentioned earlier the establishing what successful time management means to you, and I just wanted to revisit that because that really struck me in your book when you said, you want to discover your personal definition of success. Can you tell us a little more about what that means?
Absolutely. So I start out in chapter 4, like before I go into lots of techniques or routines, about really figuring out what success looks and feels like to you. And the reason why that is so essential is that if you aren't clear on what actually makes you feel successful, you could achieve everything everyone else told you you should do to feel successful and not be happy at the end. So it's some horrible joke, like you discipline yourself, you do everything you're supposed to do, and then you don't even like what you have. I mean, how sad is that? Or alternatively, you go around feeling guilty all the time for something you don't even want to do. So I'm fairly good at this, and so that's why I advocated in others. So for instance, in terms of personal definition of success, very small example. It's important for me to stay healthy. I try to exercise 5 times a week in some way. It could be going on a walk, it could be doing yoga, workout video, whatever that is. But I don't want to run a marathon. I never have. I can't say I never will, but I probably won't. And I'm okay with that. And I don't go around being like, oh, I should be running 7 days a week, and I should have already completed my first half marathon. I don't feel guilty because I don't want to. Like, that's not success for me. And so I have the total freedom when other people are like, oh, you should do that, or, that would be awesome, to be like, actually, no. Like, that's awesome for you. I'm so glad you appreciate it, but that's not for me. So in the same way with things, let's say with work, like for one person, maybe, achieving the most they can achieve, climbing as fast as possible is the most important thing to them. And they don't mind having to work 60-hour weeks or, travel a lot for work, and they feel satisfied and they feel fulfilled. And they should not feel guilty for those aspirations. If that is what works for them, awesome. However, if you're someone else who really would just love to work 30 or 40 hours a week and have time to pursue a hobby like practicing saxophone or, volunteering in the community, and that's truly what makes you very, very happy and you're able to pay your bills, having a more sustainable schedule and maybe a slower pace of advancement, that's okay too. And so that's why I really encourage people to figure out what success looks and feels like to them, and I have exercises in the book to help do that. And then from there to look to achieve work-life brilliance, because for each person, being balanced, being happy, being successful is going to look unique, and that's okay.
Yeah, that's so true. And I guess a lot of the guilt or shame or frustration also comes from comparing yourself to others, and you kind of force yourself to reevaluate why your own priorities are not alignment with everyone else. So it is important to completely own your own priorities and be okay with your own personal definition of success. Yeah, and I absolutely remember that one phrase that you said, which is to like really own your priorities. Because if you, no matter how much you accomplish, if you don't own them in the way that you find comfortable with, then you're just never going to feel okay with what you have.
Yeah, you'll never be happy, and that kind of stinks. Like, not only are you working hard, but you're not enjoying yourself. What good is that?
Yeah, that's true. So that's wonderful. And also a part of your book is dealing with the stressful emotions that come with ineffective time management, like pressure or guilt. And a lot of the high performers I talk to tend to have those kinds of emotions because it's, you know, imposed by in the workplace, or there's like a strong corporate culture. How would you deal with those emotions?
Yeah, well, first off, in terms of handling the emotions, I do have a chapter on overcoming crippling emotions where I go into a lot of detail there. But first off, just acknowledging it and honoring it is a huge deal, because oftentimes we are feeling things like there'll be a physical sensation in our body, or we're acting out and responding in a certain way, like maybe we snap at people and we're not usually, a grumpy person, or, you'll notice yourself like being resentful or angry or tired, and you just don't know what's going on. And usually those are signs that something emotionally is bothering you. So I think the first step is recognition of what's going on. Secondly, you really need to take time and space to address what it is exactly you're feeling, and then what you can do about it. So in terms of something like pressure, you'll want to have a chance to like step away and be like, okay, why do I always feel overwhelmed? Or why am I having trouble sleeping at night? Or why am I avoiding talking to my coworkers because I'm so scared that they're going to tell me one more thing I have to do? Mm-hmm. Like, what am I noticing? And then you step away, either thinking about it, sometimes talking it through with someone else, like a coach or a friend, or writing about it can help. Once you identify, like, okay, I'm feeling pressured because I'm constantly getting requests every day for different things, and I don't feel like I can get this all done in time, or I'm not even sure if I can. So you've identified the emotion and validated it, like it is legitimate. If you feel pressured, you feel pressured, and that's not wrong or bad or stupid that you feel that way. But then the next step is you don't want to just stay there like, oh, I'm feeling pressured, or oh, I'm feeling guilty, or I'm feeling stressed. You want to do something about it. So for instance, if you were feeling pressured by the number of things happening, you could maybe implement one of the planning routines I talk about in chapter 7 of my book, or you could do something I call expectations negotiation in chapter 5, where you lay out your schedule, you lay out your different responsibilities, and then you speak with your boss or supervisor, whoever's in charge, about what your priorities should be so that you can pace things in a sustainable manner. So emotions, kind of working through them, are twofold. One is actually realizing and addressing what's going on, and then secondly, seeing if there's something you can do to alleviate that feeling.
Yeah, these are great tips. And by the way, like the chapter on emotions, like I love that chapter. And it's like a feel good immediately chapter, because what Elizabeth does is she has your harmful thought pattern, and then something that definitely turns it around in a more effective way, and it just really makes you move forward, and I absolutely love that. So
good. I'm glad. It's something that's really important and often overlooked in time management, because people are like, well, just tell me what to do. Like, just tell me how to organize my email. And they're not realizing all that's holding them back. And if we can, like, overcome those things that are holding us back, it's like weights being taken off, or like blankets being taken off, and you're free to then do what you want to do.
Exactly. Yeah. And I love the way you structure the overcoming part, because it's not just like blindly not paying attention to how you feel. It is actually being aware, very aware, and like you said, validating what you feel, and then also recognizing that there's an upside to it as well that can be more productive.
Exactly.
Yeah, so that was great. And I also have a lot of high performers who have very unpredictable jobs. And so, their schedules are in flux. They feel they don't have control over their schedules. Most of them are in management consulting or just very high-powered jobs in general. And so, you had mentioned that you have that chapter on routines, and maybe you can tell us a little bit of how we can incorporate more predictability or routines in our schedule, just a slight glimpse into that.
Absolutely. And that's a great point, because I know sometimes people who, like, when you're a management consultant, you do literally have less control over what's happening in your day. And so I don't want to be like, well, you should just have a 9 to 5 job, and everything should go the same every day. Like, that's completely unrealistic.
Right.
But that doesn't mean that you can't have routines. So here's a few key things to think about. One is sleep. Like, I know it can be tempting to work crazy late on a big project, but I literally haven't met a person yet who can do that consistently and have a sustainable level of performance. So if you can even get down, like, this is the time I get up and this is the time I go to bed every day, that will be huge in terms of routine for you and allowing you to perform at a consistent level and not crash and burn on the weekend. Secondly, you can integrate in routines for things like exercise. So maybe you have no idea how your day will go, but you can say, the first thing I do when I get up is I do yoga for 15 minutes. Or before I go to bed, I, go to the gym, whatever that is. And so then you're integrating into your life having this thing for your health and wellness. And then finally, another sort of routine that's really essential, and I think it's actually even more essential when your schedule is in flux, is to have at least daily, and preferably weekly planning routines. So even if your day is going to change every day, you can still have the same routine that you go through in the morning of checking your calendar, answering your voicemail, answering your email, looking at your projects list, pulling out what's most important, and reevaluating and adjusting for what didn't go as you expected the day before. And something like that, it doesn't have to happen at the same time every day. You obviously won't get the same output or results after each planning session. You can definitely use the same formula. So having that daily formula, this is how I plan my day to make sure I'm not forgetting anything, can help you feel much more peaceful and make sure you're focusing on what's most important.
Yeah, I think making it a habit is what's key, right? Because like when you and like revisiting it and like revising, you're kind of like testing it and seeing how it works little by little. It's not like making huge changes, but it's about incorporating small chunks of regularity in your life in time.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's absolutely crucial. And I love your chapter on routines because it just speaks to like a lot of resistance that people might have towards it. And
Yeah.
I mean, I myself had this resistance as well not too long ago. And it's like when you can you share with us some of the common resistances that people...
Absolutely, absolutely. So I have a whole section on your inner routine rebel. So for those of you with inner routine rebels, you might want to check that out. It's in chapter 6 of my book.
Yeah.
But anyway, so there's all these different reasons why we think that routines are stupid and we shouldn't do them and they're a bad idea. So first off, just thinking of, I guess, jumping ahead to chapter 9, but then this does relate to chapter 6. If you're someone who's naturally spontaneous, meaning you prefer to respond to the stimuli around you instead of having this plan that you perfectly follow based on what you decided in advance, you will want to buck routine because you'll think, well, I don't like this. This isn't fun. What if I don't feel like doing what I plan to do when I'm supposed to do it? Like, things are always changing. There's always new options. So it's just ridiculous. How can I possibly know what's going to happen or not happen? And so, I just don't even want to try because it's just not going to work, and so I'm just not going to do this. And so for people like that, there's a few things to address there. First of all, it's not bad at all that you like to be spontaneous. Not all of your life needs routine. There are some people who love doing the same thing every day, and they love like eating the same food for lunch every day, and sitting in the same place, and reading the same book, and driving the same car. You know, like they thrive on that, and you never have to be that person. So just to like calm you down, like don't worry, you don't need to eat peanut butter and jelly every day for lunch. Uh, but everyone can benefit from some routine. And if you're noticing that there's a part of your life, like let's say exercise or sleep or simply knowing what you're supposed to be doing in a day, that's not getting done and is causing you just an inordinate amount of stress, like you should not be stressed about finding your keys. Like you should not be stressed like deciding when you're going to eat during the day. You know, like these should really be things that are not causing stress for you. So anytime you notice something like that, you just want to think about, okay, what can I do to create a sense of structure and order for me? And I'm welcome to change it if something comes up, like routines are my servant, not my master. But what can I do so that this is not causing stress? So like we talked about before with the sleep, if you just decide, I'm going to bed at 11, whatever it is, then set an alarm on your phone, you know, for a half hour before to help you shut down, get your mind in gear, and you go to bed. It just takes the stress out of wondering, oh, am I going to get enough sleep? Am I not? And you know, well, maybe I can work late tonight. I'm not sure. Will I be tired? Let's see. I don't know. Like, you just take out the decisions. It's just like, nope, it's 11 o'clock. I'm going to bed. Or if it's about, like, having some of these basic things, like I know brilliant people that can forget to eat all day, and then they're like, you know, get to dinner and they're like, oh my gosh, why do I have a horrible headache? And it's because they literally didn't eat anything all day. So things like that, even if you're a spontaneous person, you can just decide like you know, first time I have a break, after my morning meetings are done, then I eat lunch. And you just do that there. So basically you want to give yourself structure and routine so that you can be moving forward on things and reduce your number of decisions, but still know it's okay for you to decide. And your routines are creating structure and creating order, so when you don't have the ability to think about things, it's already in order. But if you want to make changes, if you want to, you know, decide, I brought my lunch, but I'm going to go out because someone asked me, that's an okay thing for you to do.
Yeah, a friend told me inch by inch is a cinch.
Uh-huh.
And so that's what I think of when I hear your routines. It's like you're inching in a little bit each time until it does become automatic.
Exactly. And it actually gives you freedom to be more spontaneous. So, like, if you're not thinking about when I go to sleep, when I exercise, when I'm going to eat, how I plan my day, if my email will be answered, you then have freedom to decide, like, okay, I have all the rest of this time. What do I want to do? What's most important? Someone asked me to do something? Yeah, sure, I can do that. I have my week planned out. I see that I can readjust what I was planning to do this afternoon to this other day. I'm golden. So you actually have more opportunity for freedom and spontaneity when you're not stressed out wondering if you forgot something.
I love that. So it's like having a routine actually helps you become, or have the freedom to become more spontaneous.
Absolutely. Because you have clarity.
Yes, I love it. Love it. Awesome. Well, let's see. That's pretty much a lot of material, I think, for people to start with. Do you have a favorite, like a mental exercise? I saw one of your chapters, you had like mental empowering exercise, and I love to challenge my readers. So do you have like one favorite mental empowering exercise that you could share with everyone to try today?
Absolutely. Well, one of the empowering mental patterns I talk about in my book is gratitude. Because in chapter 2, we go through overcoming crippling emotions and kind of getting that old way of thinking out. But in chapter 3, I thought it was really important to establish what are some new ways of thinking, because if we don't have replacement thoughts or behaviors, we're going to slip back into what we were doing because there's a void there. And so in terms of gratitude, I guess one thing I would challenge each and every one of you to do is something that I've actually been doing personally. This isn't um, in my book, so it's a special bonus, but I have been fasting from a spirit of entitlement. And I think especially for people in the Western world, I grew up in the United States, so being American, we feel really entitled. Like, well, of course my electricity should be on 24 hours a day and 7 days a week. And of course customer support fuel should be available right when I want them, you know? And of course, like, you know, like I should be respected and I should have this or that or access to that. And I have just made it this technique and this ritual in my life that when I start to feel myself to get annoyed at something, to just be like, okay, how am I feeling entitled? Like, what am I doing? And how can I be grateful instead? So, for instance, like we had a snowstorm recently, and, you know, of course the roads were kind of slushy and yucky for a little while, but then they weren't perfectly cleared right away yesterday, but today they are cleared. And so instead of getting all grumpy yesterday, like, oh my gosh, I can't believe that they just don't like take care of the roads right away, I was like, you know, I'm thankful that we have public works and that they are going to be cleared. And they were, and they are. And so as you're going throughout your days and your weeks ahead, I would just really challenge all of you to think about how you can be grateful for the fact that you have heat or air conditioning or food or money or like the ability to make choices or so many things that in so many other parts of the world, I've traveled to 5 continents, they don't have. And that will dramatically increase your enjoyment of life and also make you a much happier person for everyone else.
Yeah, and absolutely, like gratitude can be extended towards time as well. Like if you are intentionally thankful for the time that you have, it makes a world of difference how it's spent, your attitude, and it just feels good to be like, yeah, I do have the time to work on this, or I do have the time to enjoy with the people I love. And it's like a world, it's like a shift, really, a mind shift.
It is. It really is.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for spending time with us today, Elizabeth.
My pleasure.
Everyone, remember it's the 3 secrets to effective time investment. And I got my copy on Barnes and Noble, or no, Amazon actually. And where else is your book available, Elizabeth?
Yep, it's available on Amazon.com,
yep.
In both hardcover and Kindle. It's also available on BarnesandNoble.com. It's available in bookstores, so if you go to bookstores like Barnes & Noble or request it in your local bookstore, you can find it there. So pretty much anywhere books are sold, it's there.
Awesome. Excellent. Well, thank you again so much, Elizabeth. And your website I will post below this video, and everyone can feel free to explore Elizabeth's work. She does amazing work, and I just love it. So thank you so much for sharing with us today.
My pleasure. My pleasure. Thanks for your time.